Welcome to the Mean Lady Talking Podcast, the tough-talking, advice-giving show by the not really mean lady, Susan J. Elliott.
Good day, everybody. This is Susan Elliott, host of the Mean Lady Talking Podcast, and welcome back to episode 58. Now, as some of you have already noticed, MeanLadyTalking.com is almost done. I don't have all the show notes republished, but I have quite a few of them. If you go to MeanLadyTalking.com, you will see it. You'll be able to follow the podcast from here on in. I'm going to catch up on the show notes this weekend. I know that there's quite a few of the last few episodes that don't have complete show notes, and I'm going to try to get that finished as soon as I can. But most of the show notes have been moved over from Getting Past Your Breakup to MeanLadyTalking.com. And on GettingPastYourBreakup.com, there is a button that you click to go to the Mean Lady Talking podcast for those show notes. I ported them all over. I paid somebody to do it. He did a pretty good job. Of course, as you probably know, there's a few glitches in any move like that. So I have to go through and I have to clean up a bunch of stuff. But as soon as I do that, I will get the website updated with the last few show notes and all of that. I did start a Patreon account for the podcast because it does cost money, hardware, software, and I would like to get an editor in here sometimes. I know that an editor can't edit all of my stuff. If you saw the difference between the video that I did for the last episode and the audio, there's quite a difference. And sometimes I move stuff around. I actually did move stuff around in that one a little bit, not that much, but I would like to have an editor, and it just takes hours and hours and hours to edit a podcast, and it would really help out greatly if the podcast was self-sustaining. If you can't afford to give a little bit, the smallest amount is, I believe, $2.99 a month. But if you don't think that this is worth $2.99 a month, please like and review on whatever platform you listen to and other platforms. And please go to the Mean Lady Talking Podcast Facebook page and like and review there as well. If I can show advertisers that I have a good devoted audience, and I can show that through reviews and through support on Patreon, I can get advertisers and the podcast will continue. I'm giving it until September 1st to become self-sustaining. It's now May 13th. So that's 4 months. If the podcast is not self-sustaining within 4 months, I'm going to have to give it up because I can't run it at a deficit every month. I just can't afford it. So if you guys like the podcast, please go to MeanLadyTalking.com, go to the Become a Meanie button, and please become a meanie. You know that being mean is a compliment, and explains it on MeanLadyTalking.com. And tonight I'm going to be mean, so get ready for some meanness. But if you want to see the podcast continue, please support it. And if you don't have any money, not even $2.99 a month, please like and review as much as you can. Spread the word. Send it to your friends. If I can show advertisers that the podcast has a devoted following, I could get some advertisers. If I can't show that, I won't be able to do that. So please like and review. Please go to MeanLadyTalking.com, hit the Become a Meanie button and become a meanie. And I appreciate it very, 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 very much. I would like this thing to be self-sustaining, and I would like to free myself up for the hours that it takes me to edit it, to do other things for you guys. Anyway, I want to blast off with something that I said in the Facebook group, and some people emailed me and some people PM'd me and asked me what I was talking about. One of the things that it says in the Facebook group guidelines is that this isn't a place for disputing the program. Getting Past Your Breakup is the most successful breakup program in the world. It works. There are many devotees, there's many followers, there's many fans, there's many people who have done the program. Some people have even tried to do the program ass backwards, and it still has had a good positive effect on them. I've said for many years, it's not to be done buffet style. There's a rhyme and a reason to it. And on a podcast a few weeks ago, I said that somebody came in the group and was saying, how come there's not room for other opinions? Blah, blah, blah. There's not room for other opinions where Getting Past Your Breakup program is concerned. There's just not. The Facebook group is for people who are reading the book, who are following the program, who are doing the work. It is for me to go in there, and they go in, they say, well, this happened to me, that happened to me, or this is my situation, that's my situation. And how do I use the program concepts, or how do I use this part of the program to deal with this, blah, blah, blah. And so we go in, and people who have done the program for a long time, and me and my moderators and everyone else, we go in and we say, this is how you do it. That's what the Facebook group is there for. It's not for, let's go in, let's debate the idea of this, or let's do this, or no, it's not that. That's not it. It's in the group guidelines. It's not here for that reason. You want to debate Getting Past Your Breakup, go someplace else and debate it. You're not going to come into my house, in my playpen, and say, oh, I'm not sure I agree with this. I don't give a crap. Go get your own program, go get your own group, and leave us the hell alone, okay? When you have a program that has been as successful as this one over this many years, we'll listen to you. Until then, just shut up. But there's one thing about being obstinate about it, and another thing being stupid and dangerous. What I said was, if you do something that goes against the advice of this program, do not post it here with pride or at all. The guidelines say that over and over again. Newcomers need to know this works, and it works the way it's supposed to be done, not buffet style. Not a little bit of this, not a little bit of that. If you want to rebel against parts of it, that's fine. But that is not this program, and that has no place in the Facebook group. What I suggest is that you create your own program and get your own group. That's what I suggest, and that's what I wrote. Now, the reason that upset me as much as it did was because somebody came in and wrote, she didn't say Getting Past Your Breakup, but I'm not even sure if she said that it would have annoyed me more than what she said, or angered me more than what she said. Or she said, it goes against accepted wisdom, or something to that effect. I sent my abusive ex a letter, and I know it goes against accepted wisdom, but I'm glad that I got the last word. And I will tell you that not only is that a stupid thing to do, but it's also dangerous. And if you want to take your life into your hands, that's fine. But how dare you? How dare you post that in a group where somebody who came out of a domestic violence situation, i.e. me, says that no contact is the way to go. And I will tell you that it was a domestic violence situation where my therapist, who was really the person who came up with no contact, and I was just the person who spread the word, and now everybody in the world calls it NC and no contact, and very rarely do people ever credit me with it, but I don't care as long as people freaking do it. But my therapist, I drove, and I write this in Getting Past Your Breakup, I drove to my ex's job, and I left a letter on his car. Now, one of the things that I've learned, especially through email over the years, is that people don't really hear what you want them to hear in written communication. And I've been a writer for my entire life. Anybody who knew me as a child, when they heard that I had a book, they'd say, I always knew you were going to be published, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I've been writing all my life. I've been writing long, long letters. A person who was my best friend in high school actually saved all my letters from years and photocopied them to me and sent them to me. And to me, the letters that I wrote through in my 20s when I was still married, oh my God, they're horrible for me to read. But I read through a bunch of them. They're just crazy. Anyway, I drove to my ex's job and I put this big fat envelope underneath the windshield wipers of his car. And I had thought I had my say. I thought that I had the last word. And it wasn't an angry letter. It was more like a blaming letter. Like, you did this, you did that, because he never took any responsibility for anything he did when we were together. Everything was my fault. And I really hadn't gotten a clue yet that, what the dynamics were and that he was never going to take responsibility. I was still thinking that I was going to open his eyes to something. So that was the purpose of my letter, to open his eyes to reality. And a couple of days later, he comes storming into the house. And he said to me, keep your fucking angry letters to yourself. Now, mind you, I would have not characterized that letter as angry because I didn't feel angry when I wrote it. I felt kind of wistful, kind of sorrowful, kind of missing him. I didn't feel angry, but he read anger. And that's what the problem is with written communication. That's why I say in the books and the workbook, don't use text and email to talk important things out because other people are going to hear you be angry when you're not angry. And it's really hard to unwind from that. But anyway, he was flipping out, and he was flipping out that I went on his job because he worked like 45 minutes from where we lived, and I had never actually gone up there before. He was upset that I had been up there. He was upset that I left a letter. He was upset what the letter said. He was upset over everything. And when I went to my therapist, and this is the beginning of no contact, as the world knows it today, this is the very beginning. I was sitting in my therapist's office. I was recounting this little interaction to her. And she said to me, you need to stop contacting him. He's going to kill you. And it was as if she herself had smacked me in the face. And as time went on, she was able to explain to me that I needed to go no contact for several reasons. And they're all listed in the Getting Past Your Breakup book. I needed it for space. I needed it for healing. I needed it to focus on me and stop trying to talk him into or out of anything. But the most important reason was that the most dangerous time for a person who's been in a domestic violence situation is when you're leaving or right after you've left. Those are the most dangerous times. Those are the times when people get killed. So for anybody to say, well, I sent this letter and I feel good about having the last word. First of all, you don't know that you had the last word because I thought I was having the last word and he comes storming in because he wasn't going to write a letter. He was never going to write a letter. He passed away a few years ago, but even in this day and age, he never had email or used a computer or anything like that. He just wasn't a computer person. He was never going to be a computer person. And he wasn't a person who wrote letters. So the only response I could get from him was him showing up. I mean, he could have called me, but he couldn't fling the letter at me, which is exactly what he did. I know it's hard to fling email, but he was furious. And I'm actually surprised he didn't hit me that day. And when my therapist said to me, next time he's going to kill you, I knew she was correct. And that was the last letter I wrote him. And that was the beginning of no contact as the world now knows it. Because it was one of the most enlightening experiences of my life. The minute she told me to knock it off, and I knocked it off. I went through all the withdrawal. I went through all of the feelings. I went through all of the pain. I went through all of the suffering that we talk about. And I just reposted today on the Getting Past Your Breakup website. And that's almost done as well. I know that both the Mean Lady Talking website and the Getting Past Your Breakup website, they were both under construction at the same time. And I've had pneumonia and I've been sick. And I think that sitting in bed doing websites is resting, and people in the Facebook group disagree with me, but it's been slower than I thought it would be. Both are almost there. Anyway, I reposted the rules of disengagement on Getting Past Your Breakup today because it is an important component of the program. And I've had people in the Facebook group saying, well, I don't really believe in it that much, or I blah, blah, blah. I believe it's only worked for a certain time. I've heard all kinds of things. And I've deleted a bunch of comments like that because no contact is a very important part of the program. It's an extremely important part of the program. And if you don't want to do it, fine, don't freaking do it. But you don't spread that bullshit in my group. But you especially don't spread that bullshit when you're talking about an abuser. Because when you've been in that chaotic relationship, and you're getting out, you still think that there's some kind of sense that you can talk your ex into. Haven't yet come to grips with the fact that once an abuser, always an abuser, and even if this person goes on and doesn't abuse another person, that's not how it's going to be with you. You and this person are always going to be in an abusive relationship. There's no starting over. It doesn't happen. And to others who might be just getting out of an abusive relationship that you feel good about having had the last word, that is freaking reckless and dangerous, and I will not allow that in my Facebook group. I will not. You take that reckless shit someplace else. You're not doing it here. You are not doing it here. And you're lucky I didn't bounce your ass. And just in case anybody out there is wondering, when is a good day to contact the ex? And what days is it not okay to contact the ex? I'm going to tell you. And people who follow me for a long time know that I have talked about this and done this many times. So I devised a simple no contact calendar for you. It allows you to figure out what day it's okay to make contact and what days it's not okay to make contact. So if it's not listed here, I want you to feel free to make contact. But these are the days you can't make contact. The ex's birthday, somebody in the ex's family's birthday, your dog's birthday, your ex's dog's birthday, your cat's birthday, your ex's cat's birthday, your goldfish's birthday, your ex's goldfish's birthday, the anniversary of your first date, the anniversary of your last date, the anniversary of your last big fight, the anniversary of your first big fight, Patriots Day, which is also the Boston Marathon, Memorial Day, Canada Day, 4th of July, VJ Day, VE Day, Ramadan, Labor Day, Arbor Day, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Halloween, All Saints Day, Election Day, New York Marathon, Black Friday, Black Monday, Advent, Hanukkah, Christmas Eve, Christmas, the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, Kwanzaa, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, the day before Valentine's Day, the day after Valentine's Day, the day before St. Patrick's Day, the day after St. Patrick's Day, Leap Year Day, Purim, Passover, Lent, Easter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are all the no contact days. Now, if there's a day that's not on that list, that's the day you can contact your ex. How about that? That's a great day. Okay, so you let me know how that goes. But any other day that you contact your ex, if it's one of these days and you contacted your ex, don't you be flinging that shit in my group, because I'll be flinging your shit right out. Thank you. Now I'll go on to a happier topic. Before I go on to a happier topic, I want to let you guys know that there's a couple of true crime episodes that I've been working on. I'm working on the Emma Walker case. I've watched the trial of her ex-boyfriend who stalked her and killed her. And the Jodi Arias appeal is like next in line to be heard. I've read her appellant brief, I read the state's response, and I haven't read her reply to the state's response, but I'm going to do something on that. And the Nicole Kessinger and the Chris Watts case, I have a few of those, and I know that most of my listeners are not here for true crime, but there is a lot of stuff in that really is important. And the Chris Watts and Jodi Arias stuff is all about stalking, domestic violence, which she was not a domestic violence victim, and male stalking is very important. The Emma Walker stuff I really want to get into because it was such a sad case. It was a young, dysfunctional relationship that many of us who are in those crazy chaotic relationships, breakup, makeup stuff, any one of us could have been Emma Walker. So I think it's a really, really important topic. And the Chris Watts and the Jodi Arias stuff is also about personality disorders. I really want to talk about those. So I'm trying to figure out a way to talk about them in a way that won't bore my breakup audience, but will give enough to my true crime audience coming from the viewpoint of a lawyer and a therapist. So I just wanted to say that, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to work those into the future podcast without alienating those who might not be interested in true crime, while continuing to use those topics as something that can be instructive. Because I don't want to talk about true crime. I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube and stuff who talk about Chris Watts, and it's really kind of a sensationalist way. And that's not what I want to do. I only want to talk about things on this podcast that can be instructive, that people can use in their own life. And if it's something as crazy as the Watts family murders, I still want to find a way to, and I hope that I've done this in the previous podcasts that I've done about it. I really hope that I have been able to teach you guys something about personality disorders and things like that. So if you are interested in the true crime stuff, let me know. I mean, you just have to drop me a line. And now I have the website and I have the email, meanladytalking@meanladytalking.com. Send the email there. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I mean, if you're not a real true crime person, but you have found something instructive in those videos, let me know. If you got questions, if you have some suggestions about how to frame it better, out of true crime, more into the psychological, let me know. I'm really interested in feedback from you guys because I don't want to bore people that aren't into true crime, but there's a lot of stuff that we can take from those things that can be used as instruction. The other thing that I want to talk about tonight is gaslighting. And one of the things that somebody sent me, and the email was, can I do a whole podcast on gaslighting? And I would love to do that. Please send me your questions about gaslighting, and you could have a general question about it. I really want to do a podcast on that. I did a radio show probably 8-9 years ago, and most people did not even know the term gaslighting. And I did a show on it, and I was deluged with 1 million emails after that with 1 million questions. And there's a lot more information now than there was when I did that radio show. But if you have questions, ask me, and I'll put a show together on gaslighting. Gaslighting takes many forms, but it's a form of psychological abuse whereby a perpetrator manipulates a victim into doubting his or her own sanity or their own reality. It's not usually literally believing that you're going crazy, but you doubt your version of reality. You feel confused a lot, and there's a lot of self-doubt. And I've told the story about the keys and how it was so crazy. That key incident was so nuts that it smacked me in the face like a wet fish that, oh my God, this isn't my fault. This isn't my fault. And if this isn't my fault, what the hell else hasn't been my fault? Gaslighting takes many forms, but it's a twisting of reality that turns you into a really a true victim. If you've never seen the movie Gaslighting with Ingrid Bergman, please watch it. It's a great movie. It's about second guessing yourself and getting so far from reality that you don't even guess anymore. You just accept someone else's interpretation of reality. And it's an experience that happens to many people who are involved with very dysfunctional or personality disordered people. The perpetrators are most likely narcissists or sociopaths. And I've told you, my own experience with being gaslighted wasn't the "are you sure, it's all in your head" type of overt gaslighting, because although all gaslighting is insidious, the kind that I experienced was a tactic that I dubbed, and this is my own word for it, rage against reality. He had this angry insistence that everything was my fault. And when I tried to defend myself, I was mocked as being irresponsible or unwilling to accept blame. And I've talked about divorce coaching, and so many times when I'm working with a divorce coaching client and they have a narcissist on the other side, I'm reading this person's brief and this person's accusations, and this is exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about, oh, that person is unwilling to accept blame, or that person is irresponsible, that person is this, that. It's always focused usually on the person that's my client. And it's this rage against reality, when in reality, the other person is the one who's just behaving badly. In my first marriage, I was blamed no matter what happened, and no matter how tenuous my connection was to what happened. Again, the key incident I talked about in Getting Past Your Breakup. If I cleaned the house, I was wrong for not taking the kids to the park. If I took the kids to the park, I was wrong for not cleaning. If I managed to clean and take the kids to the park, I didn't have dinner cooked. If I had dinner cooked, it was too simple a meal. It was never good enough. Never, ever good enough. And when I suspected that he was cheating, he said to me, if you keep blaming me for cheating, I'll cheat. I would just be stunned and shut up. I mean, that is the craziest response to, are you cheating? Well, if you keep blaming me, I'm going to cheat. Nobody cheats because somebody blamed them for doing it. I mean, what are you going to do? Go out and grab like the first person you meet? Come here, I want to cheat. I want to cheat with you because my partner is telling me that I'm a cheater. So I think I'll cheat with you. I mean, how does this happen? How does this go on? Somebody tell me. Anyway, there's many versions of gaslighting. If you have questions, if you wonder, is this gaslighting? Is that gaslighting? Send me an email. Let me know. But it causes you to think that down is up and up is down. And gaslighting sows very real seeds of doubt in your ability to believe in you and your hold on reality. Gaslighting takes away your ability to think rationally and critically in almost every single situation. And what happens is that when you're in the middle of the gaslighting, you become so obsessed with trying to either get out of the blame, do the right thing, say the right thing, excuse whatever the hell it is you're being blamed for this time, even if you had nothing to do with it. You're thinking so fast, and things are swirling around you in such a fashion that you don't have time to stand back and go, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? And what happened with my ex was that he overplayed his hand. I mean, it was so crazy for him to blame me that day. And then his brother turned around when he was climbing on the roof to get us back in the house. And he said, if I fall off this roof, it's all your fault. I mean, it was like, oh my God, like the whole world sees it. When you're being gaslighted, you second guess yourself all the time. Or you say things about yourself like, I'm too sensitive, I'm too jealous, I should be stronger, I should be wiser, I should be less emotional. You really get down on yourself for the way that you respond to things. You feel confused a lot of the time. I mean, almost all the time. There are other signs of being gaslighted. I've written about this, I've talked about it, I've done a video on it. But what I'd like you to do is, if you have questions about gaslighting, send them to me because I would like to do a show on it. The other thing is, yes, I'm still putting the sex show together. So if you have questions, please send them to me. I'm going to do one sex show and one sex show only. So let's make it good. But if you have questions, let me know. Let me see. What else can I talk about here tonight? Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is for all of you who are talking about dating and thinking about getting back out there. And I've had clients who have gone out and started dating. One of the things that's important, and I write about this in Getting Back Out There, is that you have to change your attitude about dating as something you need to go through. And I talk about this on the videos, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, and I've talked about it in the group. You can't look at it like some kind of punishment that you have to go through in order to have a relationship, because it's not that. You have to look at it as a learning experience. I talked about the guy with the airplanes on the last podcast. He turned out to be a very valuable networking connection. Really, really good. And I was just mortified the night of that date. And I was really depressed when I went home. But it turned out to be really good. So look at dating as a learning experience. Look at it as a possible friend, a possible networking opportunity. You never know. And stay committed to the fact that you'll not keep going dating one person just to avoid having to start all over and have another first date with someone else. In order to have a healthy relationship, you have to know when to leave. And one of the things that I learned in my own work and in the work that I've done with clients over 25 years is that no matter how healthy we get, we're always going to run into people who are attractive, funny, and good conversationalists and yada yada, but they're not good for us. They're just not good for us. So you could look at somebody, you could say, wow, this person's really good looking and they're funny and they but they're just not the person for you in a long-term relationship. And sometimes you're not going to discover that until 3 or 4 dates down the line, 3 or 4 months down the line, hopefully not 3 or 4 years down the line. You have to know that it's okay to walk. Get rid of this mentality of, oh my God, another failure. I dated this person for 6 months. I thought that I was healthy and now it's over and I'm a failure. No, you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that. Because if you don't, you're going to hang on to these unsatisfactory relationships, and the person you really could be having a good relationship with is out there somewhere not knowing you. You're too busy in this unsatisfactory relationship because you're afraid of being looked at as a failure. Oh my God, like how many more relationships are you going to have? I remember my son was 16, and when I was getting out of the relationship with the guy that I was in a long-term relationship with between my first husband and Michael, my son was angry. And he said, how many more relationships are you going to break up in your life? I mean, he was completely out of line and he knew it. But it was like, I'm not going to stay in an unhealthy relationship, or I'm not going to stay in a relationship that's run its course because you think that I should. Especially if you're a 16-year-old snot-nose. No. That's not going to happen. It's not always a straight trajectory from one relationship into a healthier one. Sometimes we get tangled up along the way. I could say that I had healthier relationships in the middle between my first marriage and Michael than I did probably a couple of years before I met Michael. I mean, the relationship that I had in graduate school was a disaster, and it was so unhealthy. And I had been in a relatively healthy relationship before that. But sometimes we get tangled up along the way. Sometimes we lose our focus and we have reasons for sliding backwards. And I could do a whole soliloquy on my reasons for sliding backwards at that point. Less healthy partners come around us, but somehow they still find a way in. And we can let down our guard, or we could get into some, I don't care, throw caution to the wind mode. Now, I've done that. I did that when I was out dating. Sometimes I was like, yep, this is no good, but I'm doing it anyway. And then we open ourselves up to all kinds of trouble. We have to understand that even if we've done the work and even if we've become healthier, we're still going to have dysfunctional or personality disorder people come our way. Just because we're healthy doesn't mean that every person who walks in our life will be healthy. We will attract a better, mentally fitter group of people, but there may be some dysfunctional people sprinkled in there. And we have to remain vigilant. Coming off a tough breakup and then feeling undesirable can make us very weak. And when I was talking about the graduate school relationship, I was in graduate school and I had been in therapy for over 8 years. And I was in school to be a therapist. And had I been honest with myself, I would have had to say that I was in no condition to be in a relationship. But I wanted a nice distraction from what was going on in my life. I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to work on what is now the standards and compatibility inventory and getting back out there. And I had to really hone in on what I wanted and commit to myself. Go to the new Power Affirmations booklet. There are exercises in there where you commit to not settling for less. Sometimes we experience dating fatigue or dating burnout, and that's when you have to pull back and say, whoa, what is going on here? Pull back. Say, okay, I need a break, and spend more time doing your journaling, doing your inventories, doing your meditation, doing your observation, doing all of those things that got you healthy in the first place. Think about red flags. Think about red flags that you've seen recently. It's important that even when you're feeling strong and healthy, you keep doing the things that got you strong and healthy in the first place. Keep journaling. Keep doing your me nights. Keep doing your self-care. Keep working on your inventories. It's important to trust yourself and not question that feeling that something isn't quite right. The way to trust other people is to trust yourself first, and you have to keep yourself vigilant, not paranoid, but vigilant when it comes to red flags. The question remains, can you leave when you see one? Why or why not? What does history tell you? Are you worried about being looked at as a failure? Are you worried about having to go out on another first date if I leave this joker? When have you stayed when you knew you should have left? Getting in touch with that is the key to not having it happen again. What warning signs have you ignored? And make sure you commit yourself not to ignore them in the future. Think about what work do you need to do to keep yourself safe and your eyes wide open. Remember, it is not a straight trajectory up. You're not a failure. If you walk away from somebody that you started something with, but now you realize it's not right, doesn't make you a failure. It makes you a success. It makes you a healthy person who goes, you know what? Not for me. Not for me. Only healthy people do that. Sometimes good is just not good enough. You're going to meet people that you're going to like, that you're going to wish they were the person, but they're not. The healthier you get, the closer you're going to get to compatible. And sometimes you're going to be like, damn it, if only X wasn't true, I could stay with you. But unfortunately, X is true and I gotta go. And it sucks and it's horrible, but you can do this. Think of it as a learning experience. This person might turn out to be a friend. This person might turn out to be a network connection. You don't know. But this person is not the 3 a.m. person. This person is not the person for you. Don't let yourself keep dating if you're feeling burnt out. Don't let yourself keep dating if you think that something is way off here. Pull back, take care of you, and then go back out there and try it again. Take care, my lovelies. Take care, my little meanies. You can do this. This is Susan Elliott, host of Mean Lady Talking Podcast. Please go to meanladytalking.com. Become a meanie. Support the podcast. And I love you. I love you. I love you. Talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.